Back again for the 2023 model year is the Ford Explorer Limited, but this one is the hybrid, which means that we're looking at a 3.3 liter hybrid engine. It's really nice. Now, the one in behind me is the 310A package, so it is the limited hybrid. I'm gonna be going through some of the basics of the vehicle. You can find build links for this specific one in the description of the video. You can find walkthroughs for the media screen as well as the steering wheel and cluster on top of that. And then you can also find the contact info for Formula Ford, who were nice enough to lend me this vehicle for the day in order to shoot the video for you guys. If you're looking for any sort of Ford or Lincoln vehicle, you definitely want to check them out. But overall, I like the Explorer. We've got the option for either 6 or 7 seats, depending on what you do with the second row. It's a nice ride. We've got this nice chromed out look that matches beautifully with these wheels. And these things do look sharp. It's like a chrome type of look to the wheel itself, and they are 20-inch. And that's going to be the same whether we're looking at the regular gas engine or the hybrid version instead. Now, in the States, you will find the Explorer available rear-wheel drive standard with 4-wheel drive, so intelligent 4-wheel drive going to be optional. But I'm in Canada, our only option is going to be intelligent all-wheel drive. Absolutely useful for our crazy Canadian winters. Now, a few small highlights in the limited version of the Explorer. We've got our side view mounted cameras on top of that. This thing also has a front mounted camera, rear camera, so this thing has a full 360 view, which looks great. One thing, I wish that it would take up more of that screen real estate, but it still is nice we have a 360 camera. We've got our blue oval, a unique grille that's going to be standard inside of the limited version of the vehicle. We've got LED headlamps there, and we do have fogs in this one. Now, one big change from 2022 to 2023, actually really the only change in the Explorer, is that you might get a fog credit. So it's essentially just going to be a faux placeholder for the fog lamps instead. You won't actually have usable fogs. But like realistically, I think I've maybe used fog lamps like twice in my life and they weren't really helpful. But a few extra things to point out because we're in the limited. We've got the forward sensing system, so our sensors there helping us out as we get closer to obstacles while we're parking. Getting underneath the hood of the Explorer is straightforward. So we've got a little release just to the left-hand side of the pedals. And then this thing, just on your traditional prop bar, so not too difficult there. Now, the Explorer in general has a few different options available. We've got the 3.3 liter base engine for fleet only. We've got the 2.3 liter EcoBoost, the 3.3 liter hybrid, or the 3 liter turbo. The engine that you're going to get is going to depend on which trim level of the vehicle that you're in. In Canada, you can only get the hybrid in the limited version of the vehicle, but down in the States, you can also get the Platinum hybrid. So you have one up on us down in the States there. But I mean, respectable engines. So looking at the limited specifically, the 2.3 liter engine is going to push out 300 horsepower and 310 pound-feet of torque. Comparatively, the hybrid is going to push out 318 horsepower and 322 pound-feet of torque. So a tiny little bit of power difference between the two of them. But one big benefit of the hybrid version of the vehicle is that we do have that battery as well, which means that we're going to get slightly better fuel economy in comparison, which we'll touch on in just a second. And we know this is the hybrid because we've got our orange cables all throughout. So that's essentially how we know we're looking at a hybrid or an electric, just because of these high voltage cables. But a few basics, if we're handy doing some things ourselves, we can easily top up our fluids. Changing oil, a little bit more challenging. It's kind of blocked off by this strut brace. Looks fairly nice though. I've been stressing it in a few of my videos recently. You want to make sure that you're regularly changing your oil and regularly performing scheduled maintenance. A few reasons why. You want to make sure you get the best possible life out of your vehicle. You also want to make sure that you maintain your manufacturer's warranty. So we do have a pretty robust warranty. It's pretty industry standard. 3-year basic, and then a 5-year powertrain. And then you also do have Ford roadside assistance. So if you ever break down, you ever need a tow, whatever the case may be, call the 800 number, and that's good for the balance of the powertrain warranty. Filling up fuel inside of the Explorer is very straightforward. So we've got just a little cutout here, and it's a capless system. Now, inside of the regular gas version of the Explorer, we do just have a regular cap that we can easily open up. But we're in the hybrid, so you have to hop inside, push the little fuel release, boom, second or two later, we're inside. And that's just got to do with depressurization. But same capless system we're going to find in pretty much every other Ford vehicle. Now, a few things. Minimum manufacturer's recommendation, whether you're looking at the gas or the hybrid, is just your regular 87. You don't have to use a premium fuel, but you're going to get better performance out of it when you do. Not necessary though. And then I did mention, so the hybrid, one of the big benefits there is that you're going to get better fuel economy all at the same time. And that's got to do with the hybrid component of the vehicle. Now, one cool thing is that the vehicle also runs off of what's known as regenerative braking. So as you're braking, it's going to recharge that battery to help give you a little bit of a longer runtime forward as well. It's kind of neat that we've got that available though. Just to give you an idea of how big this thing is, I'm 6 feet tall. Sidebars are a little bit higher than my head. But you do have the flexibility of getting crossbars. So if you're going to be storing a roof carrier and things like that, you can get that time of ordering from the factory, aftermarket, whatever the case may be. And then we do have a little 5-digit number pad on the outside. So really useful because if we don't have our keys on us, we want to get inside, enter in our 5-digit number, or we can also press the bottom two in order to be able to lock the vehicle. And we've got power folding side view mirrors. Now, as long as you've got the key fob on you, we've got intelligent access, so we can just slide our hand in order to be able to unlock the doors, which is kind of cool. The first row of the Explorer, it's nice. Especially when we look at the Limited, like this lighter interior. I actually kind of like it. It really pops, like especially when we look at all of the wood grain and all of the metallic highlights throughout. It is really, really nice. I like it. I like the two-tone of the door that we've got there. That like black combo with like this creamy color is pretty sharp. Now, a few small highlights about the Explorer Limited. So the seats inside of this thing are going to be power adjustable for the driver passenger side. And with the seats, there we go, as far down as they're gonna go. I've got, oh my God, like 6, almost 7 inches of head, what, 6? Yes, like 6+ inches of headspace there. So like 6'3", 6'4", 6'5", 6'6", yeah, you'll comfortably be able to sit inside of this thing. Oh, that's nice. That's really cool. And then we also do have, so seats that can move a few ways. We can go forwards, backwards, up and down, easily adjust our backrest there. We've got 2-way lumbar support, and then we've got 4-way adjustable headrest, so we can go up and down with it. But so we can adjust the headrest just based off of a comfortable position for our head and neck, which I mean is brilliant. I love it. It's super comfortable. Oh, so nice. So nice. All right, but let's go through some highlights. So we've got these nice metallic highlights along the door. Along the top, we've got a little speaker. Underneath, we've got a speaker as well. And then further from that, we've also got another speaker. So speakers all throughout. And that's because this is the upgraded Bang & Olufsen sound system. And I mean, this thing, oh, let's tune to a station here. 94.9 FM.
Tuning to FM 94.9.
Why, thank you. Nice. Main Skin again for the rescue. These guys are amazing. Amazing band, amazing song, but the sound. And this is half volume. And like, it's just because of this upgraded speaker system. This thing is absolutely incredible. Like the Explorer in general, we've got a few different options, but I mean, when we get into those higher speaker packages, it just sounds so nice. I love it. Love it. It's so good. And like I said, we've got speakers all along the door. We've got our woofer in the back. We've got a little speaker along the very top in the dash there too, which is great. So nice. All right, but some highlights. So I did mention we've got a driver's seat that's power adjustable, steering wheel that's power adjustable. We've got our side view mirrors as well, power adjustable. So once we have it all set up, we press and hold either 1, 2, or 3 to set up our own unique profile. So multiple people driving, you're set to go. I did point out we have power folding side view mirrors. We've got all of our window controls and side view mirror controls. A little bit of storage along the side. Now, by our left knee, we have a boatload of different buttons. So we've got one for our trunk. We've got one for the release in order to get into our gas tank in order to fill up. And that's strictly going to be in the limited version of the vehicle. So you're not going to find that inside of the regular gas engine. We've got a selector switch to figure out what's going on with our running lamps. Fog lamp button, and then we've also got a button in order to control the brightness of the cluster screen as well as our Sync 3 media screen. So the steering wheel inside of this is nice, heated all the way around too, which is great. Stick on the left side is going to be for our high beams and for our turning. On the right side is for our front and for our rear windshield wipers. This thing does have adaptive cruise control, so that idea of set it and forget it cruise control. So we've got a series of different buttons there. We can adjust how close or far we are away from the vehicle in front of us. We can also have a lane centering system turned on. So the way that works is we've got two systems. So our lane keeping system, which is going to either nudge us into our lane or give us a little bit of a steering wheel shake, or we've got our lane centering system, and that is literally going to turn the wheel as we go. So really, really useful setting if you accidentally lose focus on the road, but the big one is if you're going on longer distance trips. So having adaptive cruise and that lane centering system is beautiful, because if your hands getting a little bit rough, you can kind of shake it off for a second, give yourself a little bit of a breather. You don't have to keep full focus and pressure on the wheel either. It's going to literally rotate the wheel as long as it recognizes the lane markings. It is a brilliant system. We've got volume rockers on the steering wheel. We can mute out. Along the right side, we've got a series of other buttons to navigate through the cluster screen. If you want more of a walkthrough, like you want to figure out how to use the steering wheel cluster or the Sync 3 media screen, check down in the description of the video. I've put together a comprehensive video explaining how all this stuff works. But it's nice, I like it. Got this nice metallic highlight, so that same metallic highlight we have along the door follows to the steering wheel too, which is great. Shooting across, we've got this wood grain that follows all the way through the lower part of the dash into the passenger side. It's a nice highlight. But if you're looking for something a little bit different, you could always do a 3M wrap. There are lots of aftermarket solutions that are available too. But we are push button start inside of this thing. Useful. And then we are on our Sync 3 media screen. And that's the same system from last year's model. So Ford hasn't updated this thing to the new Sync 4 system as of yet. I'm like, oh, fingers crossed it's coming soon. I'm hoping. Well, next generation Explorer definitely will have it. It's just a matter of, is that coming in 24 or 2025? Might be 2025. So I can't wait for this thing to get upgraded, but it is nice. The Explorer in general has two different screens available. It's either a regular 8-inch media screen, or we've got this larger phablet style screen instead. But the screen itself is great. We've got our audio settings, we've got our phone connections, so we can set up through Android Auto or Apple CarPlay to use Google Maps, Apple Maps, or Waze right through this screen if we want to. But we do have factory navigation, and the factory nav, fairly responsive. It's nice and simple. We've got an app section, as well as power section as well. And that's specifically because this is the hybrid version of the vehicle. From there, we've got so many different settings, a ridiculous number of settings: vehicle settings, sound settings, ambient light settings. So we can adjust the color of the ambient light that's going to show on our cup holders down by our feet, and a few other strategic places in the vehicle, which is kind of cool. We've got a button in order to turn off our park sensing system, so that beeping that we get as we back up, 4-way blinkers, and then we also do have our 360 camera. I wish that they used up more of the real estate for the 360 camera. It still is nice that it's there, but it's not as full screen as I would like it to be. It's there though. We've also got a series of other buttons for climate control settings. We've got heated, but best yet, ventilated first row seats. So nice. Really, really useful in the summertime. So that is essentially going to be the Limited and up. It's available in some other trim levels, just depending on how you've built it out. But the Limited Explorer does have that standard. And we also do have a heated steering wheel too, which is always a nice touch. We've got dual zone climate control inside of this thing. And then we also do have, right underneath, a little tray. So we pop that open, and we've got boatload of power points. We've got a traditional cigarette lighter adapter. And then we've also got two USB, so a USB-A and a USB Type-C, and a nice amount of storage space there. Shifting down, we've got a little phone holder. We've got a few cup holders, and then we've also got our rotary dial shifter. So we've got a park reverse neutral drive, and this one has a dedicated low gear, always helpful. Electronic parking brake. There's an auto hold setting, and what that one does is if it's turned on, if we're driving and we come to a complete stop, we can take our foot off the brake and the car won't move. It's a really, really useful safety setting. Down from there, we've got a series of selectable drive modes, and it's going to change up the way that it looks inside of the cluster screen. I love me my sport mode, but we've got a series of good ones. So we've got on the far side, deep snow and sand, trail mode, slippery, normal, eco, sport, and towing. So many options. So many options. Each mode's doing something different. It's going to play with your traction and stability control. Sport mode is going to let your RPMs rev up a little bit higher on top of that. It's useful. From there, we've got a series of other buttons. So we've got one to turn traction control on or off, and then we've also got one for hill descent control. So there would technically be a few other buttons here depending on the trim level, and that would be for the big one would be park assist. So the park assist button is not here because it's not in this Explorer, but it is available in some other models, and that can help us out with parallel perpendicular parking and a few other things. But if you want walkthroughs for any of this tech stuff, you'll find them down in the description of this video. Behind those buttons, we do also have a wireless charge pad, so if your phone supports it, we've got it there. A little armrest with a fully removable tray, and then this thing also has another traditional cigarette lighter adapter in there as well, so 12-volt power point. Straightforward. Moving up from there, there is an auto-dimming rearview mirror, a series of different controls for our cabin lights for the inside here, and then this one, because we don't have the sunroof, doesn't have any sunroof control buttons. But if yours did have the roof, we would have that option there, and like I said, it just opens things up nicely. But like I said, if you want to save yourself a couple $1,000, you can get it, just don't order it from the time of ordering from the factory. And that kind of gets into an interesting question of like, do you go factory order or do you get one off the dealership lot? Typically dealers, if it's on the lot, they want to move the inventory, but if there isn't something that you're looking for, like you're potentially spending $50, $60, $80, $100,000 on a car. So I normally recommend just going for a factory order. Like you might wait 3, 6, 8 months in order to get it, but it's exactly what you're after. So if you're not in a rush to get a vehicle because your car hasn't been written off in an accident, just go with knowing you can do a factory order. It just might take a little bit to get here. But you know, it's interesting. I love having the sunroof, but seeing it without the roof, it's not bad. Not bad at all. All right, fair enough. From here, we also do have a sunglasses holder there. We do have our buttons in order to program a garage door opener if we have one at home. This thing has a visor, hello, vanity mirror, built-in light. This thing's extending out to block all of the sun that might be hitting our face. So really, really useful. But overall, the features, styling inside of this thing are really, really nice. It's comfortable. Like I said, the seats are super comfortable. In some versions of the Explorer, we do have the option for massage chair seats for the first row. The limited version of the vehicle doesn't have that available as an option, unfortunately. Would be nice, but it's not there. Like I said, overall features, styling-wise, comfort-wise, this is a nice ride. I really like what Ford's done here. I'm very curious to see what the next-gen Explorer is going to look like, because it's possible that it might be fully electric. Or they're just going to go crazy. It's going to be with the last year for like a gas hybrid Explorer as well. That's most likely what it'll end up being. But having said that, the Oakville assembly plant, where the Nautilus and the Edge are currently assembled, apparently is going through a little bit of a rework. So they're going to be electrifying the plant. There's the possibility that the next-gen Aviator and Explorer are going to be assembled there. So nothing's official as of yet, but I would love to see like the Edge and Nautilus go electric, and then this thing have a fully electric option, but at least an upgrade to have the new Sync 4 media screen instead. The Expedition has it, the Edge has it. We need to get it in the Explorer soon enough. But this is a 6 or 7 seat vehicle, so we've got 3 rows that are available here. So let's hop back into that second row and see what's going on space-wise. Second row of the Explorer is plenty spacious. Like we have more than enough room in the first row, as you heard there. Second row is nice, and the seats are super comfortable too. I like it. I like it, I like it, I like it. Good amount of knee space on top of that. And the headspace inside of this is pretty dang good, like 5, 6+ inches of headspace. And that's obviously because this one doesn't have the panoramic sunroof. So if you want the roof, just get a time of ordering from the factory, but you can also save yourself like almost $2,000 by not going for the roof. I personally love the roof just because of how much it opens things up. I'm just a big fan of that like big open view, but that's my preference. It's going to come down to you. But one thing that is going to be standard inside of the Explorer Limited, we have our sunshades. So if you've got kids in the second row and you don't have your windows tinted, you do have these things available as an option, which is great. But all of the same types of highlights that we saw along the door follow through to the second row. Got a few speakers along the door, nice leather with that good stitching, little bottle holders all the way through it, which is kind of cool. Now, a few cool things about the second row, in the second row seat specifically, is that we may have the option for outboard heated seats. So that's the driver passenger side. This middle one's not heated at all, but it is cool. We've got that second row heated available there as an option. And the seats themselves are kind of interesting because in the Explorer, we've got the option for either 6 or 7 seats. This is obviously the 7-seater because of this bench configuration with this middle seat here. So if you go for the dual captain's chairs, you've got a little armrest and then it's just an easy pass through to that third row. Not impossible, I'll show you that in a second, but regardless of whether you go for the 6 or 7 seat configuration, we do have, so there's a lever along our side. We could use that if we want to fold the seat down, but we can also use it if we want to slightly recline it too, like kind of half riding in style. It's not like a huge recline, but I mean, it's not bad for what it is. I'll take it. So that's good. We also do have seats, so our outboard seats are also slidable. So we've got a little bar between our legs and we can move the seat forwards and backwards if we need to create room for people that are in that third row. Just be cognizant of what's going on in the first row though, but the bench seat inside of this is locked in place. So we can fold this thing down, but it's not going to be able to slide forwards or backwards whatsoever. A few other things to point out. So just behind the armrest, we do have our fan control, as well as control for our climate. We can easily adjust if it's going to our face or feet. A few different power points. So we've got 2 USB-C, and then there's also a regular wall outlet that's 150 watt. Moving down from there, there also are a few small cup holders, kind of this drop-down tray. Now, other thing to point out, behind the first row seats, driver passenger side, we also do have some pockets there. So we need to store some things. It's available. Mat pockets, kind of nice. Up overhead on both sides, we do have some clothing hooks. There's a light, both sides, and then we also do have our vent control on top of that. So we can kind of control whether or not it's going to our face. We could turn it off down there as well, so it's a matter of preference there. But the second row seats, like I said, even this middle seat, I don't think it's... The middle seat's actually not bad. Comfortability is not too shabby inside of this middle seat. I wouldn't mind sitting here. I mean, with those heated outboard seats though in the wintertime, I'm absolutely fighting somebody to get inside of these outboard seats, but this is comfortable though. I like it. Now, getting inside of the third row seat, it's not that challenging when we have the bench. Like I said, with the dual captain's chairs, we could just kind of like shimmy backwards a little bit, but because we've got because we've got the bench seat, we have to do it from the outside. So all we're gonna do from the outside here, we've got a little latch along the very top. We're just going to pull that, and in we go. Not too challenging. Getting into the third row of the Explorer. Now, having said that, that is with the bench seat configuration. So if you had the one with the dual captain's chairs, you'd just be able to easily shimmy between that second row rather than using the slide. But I mean, you saw there, super straightforward in order to be able to do it. So whether you go for the slide route or pass through is going to depend on you. I mean, obviously, if you need 7 seats, you're going to need to get the bench seat. But really, like if you only need 3, 4 seats, having the dual captain's chairs in the second row is useful for a few reasons. Now, as I mentioned, I'm 6 feet tall. So I'm going to pull this seat up for a second to show you something. So with this middle seat up, I've got like next to no knee space here. Like, hold on, let me shuffle over for you for a second. So it is very, very tight back here. As Mike Myers would say, it's tight like a tiger. It's tight. Now, having said that, is it so tight I couldn't sit back here? Like, no, my knee is just pushing up against this middle seat. So if you want more space in the third row, like the bench seat would be ideal, but I mean, realistically, you could just throw your leg up and over if you wanted. Not the safest, but you could do it if you needed more leg room. But I mean, headspace in the third row is actually not bad. So I've got, what's that, like maybe an inch-ish of headspace in the third row. Now, having said that, the third row seats aren't the most comfortable seats. They're there, but it would be nice if there was like a teeny little bit more butt cushion for this third row. But one other thing, we've got all of our anchors and tethers back here too. So if you've got front-facing or rear-facing child seats, you could technically just stick them in the third row and then have the grown-up kids or whatever the case may be sitting in that middle row instead. Not bad, nice and simple. But some things to point out back here, we've got some bottle holders along the side, so bottle/cup holders. Up overhead, we've got some vent controls on both sides, and we also do have a little light control back there too. Super simple, very straightforward in the third row. Not too much to write home about. It's pretty basic. As we move towards the back end of the vehicle, we have that same black highlight that follows through the rear bumper. There's the reverse sensing system, and then we've got dual tip exhaust on top of that. A few other things. We've got this beautiful limited badge. Like, I gotta say, this white looks stunning inside of this, because just the way the light's hitting it, it's all shiny and pearly. I kind of like it. It's that metallic paint fleck. Really nice. We've got our limited badge, our hybrid all-wheel drive badge along the right-hand side. Explorer badge with our backup camera. And then we've also got our reverse wiper. Now from there, we also have our 4 7-pin provisions. And then we've also got our tow package available inside of the vehicle too. When we look at towing inside of the Explorer, we've got a few different options depending on which version of the Explorer we're in. Inside of the hybrid, we're maxing out at 5,000 pound towing capacity. The regular 2.3 liter is 5,300 pounds, and then the 3 liter turbo is 5,600 pounds. So you do have a few different options available. If you're looking for slightly more towing capacity, you could technically look at the Expedition if you wanted to. We've got a few different ways we can get inside of the trunk of the vehicle. There's a button just to the left-hand side of the steering wheel. We've got a button just on our key fob, a little R in Explorer there. We can also push in order to be able to get inside. Well, let's swing around and have a quick peek. Now, a few things about the cargo area of the Explorer. We do have a power liftgate available in most trim levels. It's going to depend honestly on which version you've got. We would have a foot activated version on top of that. But we've got an adjustable liftgate. So we could actually manually set it. And all we have to do is just kind of drag it up and down until we get to the position we want it. And then we just press and hold. Oh, don't press that button. And then we press and hold that button in order to be able to lock it into place there. So if you want to set a customizable height, you can do that inside of this, which is great. Along the left-hand side, we just have a little subwoofer back here. Along the right side, we've got a few things. So we've got a regular 12-volt power point, so just regular cigarette lighter adapter. And then we also have buttons in order to be able to fold down our third row seats. Now, one thing to note, the seats themselves are a power down and power back up, but we don't have any sort of a manual up and down as well. So we only do have the power option, and we could technically fold down one side or the other. So we can fold down left side, we can fold down right side independently of one another, or we can lower and raise them both together all at the same time. But it's great because it opens up quite a lot more space back here, and then we can easily fold down one of those third row seats, or second row seats, I should say, in order to be able to create even more space inside of this thing. So it gives us a lot more depth, especially when we look at different options there, like different seating options. Now this one, because it's the bench seat, means that we've got a middle seat that's just kind of stuck in place there. In the sense, like, we could technically fold it down if we need that extra cargo space, but we can't slide it forwards or backwards at all. So it is locked into place there in that sense. But I mean, folding these seats down, super straightforward. And as you saw, it opens things up nicely. Now, a few other things. We do also have this tray that technically fully removable. We've got these little pieces off to the side as well. And then we've got a fully removable section. And when we lift that up, that's going to show us our mini spare tire. So if we ever need to change it ourselves, we've got that option, and that's standard inside of the Explorer. We've got our little white spigot tucked just along the side there. So if we ever need to fill up using a jerry can, that's where we're going in order to make it happen. And that was a look at the 23 Ford Explorer Hybrid. What'd you think? I do like that we've got regenerative braking, and if you're concerned with fuel prices the way they are, good to know that we get slightly better fuel economy all at the same time in a vehicle this size. But if you have any questions, drop down in the comment section below and let me know. You can find a build link for this specific vehicle. You can also find the contact details for Formula Ford Lincoln, who you can contact if you want to order one of these things. But if you enjoyed this one, thumbs up, share it with somebody if you think they might find it helpful. And until I see you next time, take care.